All right, Keith, how are you, my man?
I'm fantastic. Today's the best day of my life. How about you, man?
Today's a frustrating day for my life. No, Chad here. It says topic change. No, software is crap is the problem here. So our streaming software is having a bug right now, and so we are battling that as we speak. And so thank you for bearing with us. I'm going to try to change the packaging in the background here, but it's being very, very buggy. But is whoever's in the chat, hello, hello. I'm gonna get
Yes.
this sorted in the background. You say hi to the people while I do
Yeah.
this, Keith.
What up, chat? What up, chat? Today we got a topic and a half for you. We're gonna be diving into how we've seen a major switch up in the way that crypto is being talked about in the mainstream, and also how a lot of the biggest players in finance and in the world, period, are diving into this and investing in it. So definitely get ready for that. Just wanted to set that up. But yeah, I'm gonna check out the chat real quick, see what everyone's saying. Oh, okay, I see you guys are with us. Cool.
Yeah, sorry for the difficulties. This is all Riverside's fault. So, Riverside, what the heck? I'm dealing with the issues. The bug that they're experiencing is I create a stream and then it creates another ghost stream with none of the information that I had put it on it. So people are waiting in the wrong stream. And then when we start the stream, it's not the one that they're waiting in. So now I'm having to go move everything over to the stream that we're currently in. That was a ghost stream. So thank you guys for bearing with us. We should now have everything sorted. I will
Yeah,
delete the other one now.
we
And
got
now we should
38
be
here
good.
with us. So
All right.
yep.
Cool.
What up, everybody?
All right. We are sorted. We are sorted. Okay. So have you already thrown some up and said hello to everyone?
Uh I'm looking at it. We got Robbie J, what's up? Night on the Sun, what's up, fellas? Carl, what's good, Carl?
I'm
Dr.
back.
Wade, Dr. H. Wade, what up? What up? Bobby,
Yeah.
Pascal,
Best days
appreciate
of our
y'all.
lives. Just a little frustration in the beginning here, but we got through the technical difficulties. What up, Thomas? What up, everyone? We appreciate having you guys here so much. It's a pleasure. And we're going to do everything we can to make this a banger for y'all. And yeah, Rob, very important right there. Everyone press the like button. That's important on your way in. Make that a routine, make that a habit. Great to be back. Yes, Rob, we're happy to have you. So, like Keith alluded to, there's a lot of stuff going on in the background with very legacy institutions, big time money, the elites of the elites that are getting themselves situated, their ducks in a row. And they've been doing this for a very long time. They just haven't said it out loud because it wasn't put in a row, right?
Yeah, and it's super wild to see how things have completely flip-flopped. I mean, for anyone who's been around in the game, we've watched Jamie Dimon go on national television on several occasions, telling people to stay away from crypto. In fact, I think I kind of want to start off with some of that today.
Yeah, go there because that's my biggest frustration with all of this is that these people have been saying the complete opposite of all this stuff. So that's a great place to start.
Cool, man. Let me pull up a couple of clips. I'm going to try to make sure they're on the money here. So here we go.
I know you find sort of laborious at this point.
That's a good word.
Which is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
This ETF was approved just about a week ago.
Okay, this was, by the way, this was only a year ago. This is 2024. Okay, so just a couple years ago.
Now,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people are trying to understand what it ultimately means.
Yeah.
JP Morgan, I imagine if you were a client of JP Morgan, you could call your broker and say, get me some of this ETF.
Mhm.
What are you telling your brokers to tell them back when they make that call?
Yeah. So this is an important thing. This is the last time I've ever talked about this in CNBC. Okay. So help me God. Blockchain is real. It's a technology. We use it. It's going to move money. It's going to move data. It's efficient. We've been talking about that for 12 years too, and it's very small. Okay. So I think we've wasted too many words in that. Cryptocurrencies, there are two types. There's a cryptocurrency which might actually do something. Think of a cryptocurrency as an embedded smart contract in it, and then we can use it, buy and sell real estate, and move data. That may have value.
The idea of tokenizing.
Tokenizing things that you do something with. And then there's one which does nothing. I call it the pet rock, the Bitcoin or something like that. And so on the Bitcoin, there's, first of all, and I'm not trying to make a joke here. There are use cases, AML, fraud, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, sex trafficking. Those are real use cases, and you see it being used for hundreds, maybe $50, $100 billion a year for that. That is.
So I'll stop that clip there. But this was only 2 years ago. So he had kind of softened his position on the concept of blockchain. It's like, I'm cool with blockchain. But not crypto and Bitcoin just 2 years ago, right? Once again, and it's going to be important that we understand that. Okay. I'm going to play some other ones that were from further back in time, just a little bit, because I really want to drill in. Like, this was his hard stance on crypto. So this one was now 2023 here. Oh, hold on just a second.
You said you didn't know what we were talking about. We pretty much always have some crypto conversation with you. I'm just curious because I don't think we've talked to you since.
I think all that's been a waste of time, and why you guys waste any breath on it is totally beyond me.
Because you just think the whole thing just is
going to zero.
Going to zero and it's fake.
Bitcoin itself is a hyped up fraud. It's a pet rock.
You're back to that,
Yeah,
really?
Of course, yeah.
So what do you make then of BlackRock and other firms that are investing in infrastructure?
No, that's different. Blockchain is a technology ledger system that we use to move information. We've used it to do overnight repo, intraday repo. We've used it to move money.
Right.
So that is a ledger. That's a technology ledger type of thing that we think will be deployable. But remember, we've been talking about that for 12 years too, and very little's been done.
There's some tokens that I agree with you on, but Bitcoin's based on a distributed ledger.
Yeah,
it has all the characteristics of a store of value. It's immutable. It's scarce.
Totally untrue. It's
21 million.
Oh yeah, really? How do you know it's going to stop at 21
This is
million?
great.
Because
I've mentioned this to people
Satoshi.
too. Everyone says that. Well, maybe it's going to get to 21 million, and Satoshi's picture is going to come up and laugh at you all. And say, no.
So that's actually a really important thing that I want to touch on for a second, because everything that he said actually was fine right up until that. Right, everything else he was saying was actually defendable, like defensible, whatever. But there's a clear ignorance or lack of understanding of how Bitcoin actually works, right? Which is that it is hard coded into the system how many Bitcoin will ever exist. But they didn't understand that nuance. They said it was because Satoshi said so. But no, there's an open ledger that has a base code, a source code that anyone can go and audit and look at. Okay. And that code cannot be altered unless there's a certain amount of agreement around everyone in the system. So anyways, wanted to point that out because they don't even know what they're actually talking about yet. Has such a strong opinion. Anything you want to say on that, Ben?
Yeah, I always gotta be careful when I talk about these guys because I just get so frustrated when people like that, who they know that so many people look to them as the beacon of trust and authority, and then they give pretty ignorant takes, right? And then now, as we're going to show, I'm sure closer to how much they switched that up. And it's like, you can't have that kind of 180 shift like that unless you were completely ignorant or lying. It's the only two options, right? And so which one is it? They're both bad.
True. Very true. And yeah, I mean, you're right. At the end of the day, it almost has to be intentional. You don't have that much power, that much intelligence, and legitimately not know about these things.
Unlimited access to resources and people who can go acquire this information for them. Like, there's no gap, because whoever they could possibly want to get to source this information for them, they can afford, like this.
I'll play one more older one because he really came at people now.
He went
really
hard,
did.
man. That's why I have a bone to pick with him.
My bad. What'd you say?
No, I said that's my whole thing, is that he was so adamant and consistent about this stuff.
Yep.
I got to ask the B question. Bitcoin. You made a lot of news. What's the bottom line?
I could care less about Bitcoin. I don't know.
This is 8 years ago. Okay, this was 2017, so way back in the day here.
I don't know why I said anything about it. The blockchain is a technology, which is a good technology. We actually use it. It will be used for a lot of different things. God bless the blockchain. Cryptocurrencies and digital currencies, I think, are also fine. JP Morgan moves $6 trillion around the world every day. We don't do it in cash. It's done digitally. If it can be done digitally with the blockchain, so be it. But it'll still be a dollar cryptocurrency. What I have an issue with is a non-fiat cryptocurrency. Dollar, so crypto, sterling, euro, yen, they're all fine. I don't personally understand the value of something that has no actual value. You all can do whatever you want, and I don't care. Okay?
I don't understand
All right.
something that has no actual value. That's your whole business, brother. What do you mean?
Crazy.
That sounds definitive. Bitcoin hit a
Who trades it? If you're stupid enough to buy it, you'll pay the price for it one day. I've also told people that it can trade at $100,000 before it trades to zero. You know, tulip bulbs traded for $75,000 once, something like that. The only value of a Bitcoin is what the other guy will pay for it. And I think, honestly, I think there's a good chance that Bitcoin, a lot of the buyers out there are up there jazzing up every day so that maybe you'll buy it too and take them out. And
So, anyways,
It sounds like he hasn't read the white paper.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Like all of that, like you said, all those resources, he can take the time to read the white paper. So here we are in 2025 now. It's not just Jamie Dimon. There's also Larry Fink. But I think we'll probably we've done enough of looking at what they're saying in the past.
So
But
at
here
one
we
point,
go.
you're still skeptical.
This is now 2025. Okay.
with no damage so far. Crypto is real. If you mean blockchain, stable coins, you have a JP Morgan deposit coin, you can move stuff. Smart contracts are real. All that stuff is real. It will be used by all of us to facilitate, better transactions and
All right.
customer
If
service.
anybody was skeptical of crypto at one point, you're still
I've
skeptical.
gotten away with no damage.
Okay. So, continues to come out and says, he was wrong. This was actually a really important moment here at that conference. Both Larry Fink and him, I think, made that admission at that time. Here's one of Larry Fink also coming out and saying, hey, yeah, I got this wrong.
Called crypto an index for money laundering. BlackRock
and thieves.
and thieves.
Yes.
Money laundering and thieves.
Right.
You now have the biggest Bitcoin ETF. So what happened here?
I have very strong views, but that doesn't mean I'm not wrong. By having strong views, you have to test yourself and ask yourself. And in my role, I see thousands of clients a year. I have governmental leaders, and we have these conversations. And my thought process always evolves. And this is a very glaring public example of a big shift in my opinion.
At least he'll say it out loud that he was wrong and his opinion. Was he deliberately wrong? Who friggin' knows? Do we have anything specifically of them talking about Bitcoin in particular, or do they keep it very crypto?
I don't know if I have any of specifically them saying Bitcoin, but they do. They definitely do call it out. They say that it's only used for money laundering, and it's a scam. Basically, rather, they basically say these types of things over and over again throughout history. The thing that's the most interesting about the whole scam the money laundering criminal usage piece is we've talked about this over and over again. You'd have to be a really, really foolish criminal, right?
Yeah, like the dumbest ever.
Like if you're going to do all your business on the blockchain, all of their business is done in an immutable record. Like you might want to get your hands on cash, right? I mean, obviously, what I will say to their defense is when it comes to cross-border transactions, then yeah, you would want to use something like Bitcoin as a criminal because it would be much harder to stop a cross-border transaction. I do think that that's fair.
Yeah, completely. But also cash is the ultimate tool for not tracking. So you also got to think about if people are doing things that they don't want to be tracked. Ironically, like you'd want to keep cash as king. Do you know what I mean? Because that's like one of the only ways to not be fully traced. The whole blockchain ledger is almost the antithesis of everything that they tried to say that it was.
Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff comes to light, and not only that, but you can't really once I can connect the dots of what you did in the past. It might take me some time. I might need to hire these big blockchain analytics firms, but if I take the time, like everything that you did will come to light. I will know that these are the things that you were doing back then, and I can go back and retroactively prosecute you, right, for whatever you did wrong.
Yeah,
within the statute of limitations. But anyways. So I kind of wanted to also walk through history, right? Like, how did we get to here? Back in the very early days of Bitcoin was initially released in the middle of the Great Financial Crisis, right? White paper came out late 2008, and then the network actually launched in early 2009, January 2009. And in the white paper, there was this kind of mentioning of essentially what was actually happening with the government bailouts. They kind of directly referenced it. And so Bitcoin is essentially launched in response to the infinite money printing that was possible, right? And the government bailouts where they were taking losses that were supposed to be private companies that lost, but instead they socialized those losses is the word that is used, right? So they took a private loss, a bank going under, and they made that everyone's loss by just printing money to fill the gap.
That's a tax on every dollar that you have, right? Because we've talked about this so many times. If they print more money, whatever you have is worth less. And so these people who basically gambled for their own benefit, like there was nothing that's going to come to me or you if they were right, right? There was no upside for us.
Correct.
Sheer downside. And then they get bailed out. And that made this all very glaringly obvious that this is happening. And then obviously Satoshi took it upon himself or themselves to create this.
Right. So perfect reason to create this thing, right? It's in response to the infinite money printing, the fact that there's decisions that are being made without the general public, about the general public. There's decisions being made that affect the general public that aren't including the voices of the general public. So that's where you get the whole Bitcoin thing being launched. And at that point, right, we're talking about 2008-ish to 2012. No one really cared. Right?
No.
This little thing on the forums, on the middle, in the corners of the internet, right?
I learned about it so early, dude. And I don't know how it was in my curriculum, but I learned about it in 2011.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was super lucky. It was in the textbook that my grade 10 business class had.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've talked about the story a bunch of times, but I was the only one freaking out. And so if it is a scam and it was a plant for specific people, I'm one of those people because I was so excited by the idea and I started paying attention so much more in that class, for that class at least. And then here we are now.
Wow. So back then, yeah, I mean, very, very, very few people were really hip. You're talking about this little nerd experiment thing, these like weirdo libertarians that are on the internet talking about privacy and stuff.
Super fringe.
Yeah, like super. And it's a toy. And I actually want to tap on that because there's a guy named Chris Dixon, and he's an investor, I believe, with A16Z. And he talks very publicly actually about the idea that a lot of the most revolutionary technologies, they start off as a toy. And so Chris Dixon, he is
a smart dude.
Yeah, he is general partner at Andreessen Horowitz. Huge crypto and Web3 evangelist all around. So he's someone who's a great person to listen to when it comes to not just crypto and Web3, but also technology in general. So I'll just pull up a quick article just so you can kind of like see who he is, what I'm talking about. So why the next big thing will look like a toy. And I believe this is like the article that he wrote. This was July 2017, right? So there's a whole speech on this as well. Oof. So anyways, all right. So anyways, that's 2008 to 2012-ish. And then you move forward a little bit and then things started to actually happen. So 2013 to 2016, you've got these big moments. You've got the Silk Road incident. Okay, so there was like this platform where there was a bunch of illegal activity happening and Bitcoin was the main currency that was being used over this platform. And from what I understand, so there's the guy who like just got pardoned last year, who was, I believe, the founder of that platform. I kind of can't remember his name at the moment, but that was a whole big moment, right, where they released the Silk Road guy.
Very recently, right?
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, and there was some guy running. Was it his wife or some guy running his Twitter while he was locked up or something like that? Ross Ulbricht, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that was a big move by the Trump administration to show that they're pro crypto by releasing this dude. But I do think, like, how come no one goes to jail when illegal activity is conducted on something like Facebook?
I think that's maybe their point, the administration's point. Yeah, I mean, you don't arrest Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Because there's shady shit going on in their messaging platform or marketplace, whatever.
Yeah, the same thing happened with the Telegram guy a couple years ago, right? They tried to I think they did. They like told him, "Oh, we want you to in France." They were like, "Come speak at the conference," and then as soon as he gets off the plane, he's getting arrested or
That's
something.
crazy.
um, so, yeah, that's a real topic of
That's
conversation.
I want to bring up Carl's point here because this is so true, right? Amazing how you're evil one day and pardoned the next. Neither are true, right? That's the problem with tabloids and headlines is that if they're trying to shape your thought or opinion on someone you don't know, there's a reason for it. Either it's financial for themselves or it's politically motivated or optics motivated. So yeah, like the angle in which you're looking at something will determine which side you're on, right? Like it's so hard. These are such complex questions. It's crazy.
The pardoning feature of of the system is a pretty wild feature.
Which one?
Pardoning, being able to
Oh.
just pardon someone because you're the president.
Well, I think that also shows how kind of crazy the whole concept of like jail is.
Mm.
Like jail's a crazy concept. I also think like I'm not saying I have a better alternative for this, but even policing is crazy to me. How you put on a uniform and then you get given all of these rights and powers. Like
That is how it works.
I don't have a better answer, but I'm saying that does create some crazy stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's this thing that just happened, not to be super political, but it happened in Minnesota. All right.
Yeah.
With the ICE agents, doing what they do. And I mean, yeah, like it's wild. You get to walk around with a weapon and just, if you feel like you get to use it, it's time to use it, then you get to use it.
And the problem is that when there's vague language and feelings are attached to definitions, you can get away with anything.
Yep.
Right? Because if the criteria is how the person felt in the scenario, then how do you argue about their feeling state?
That's correct.
Right? It's deliberately vague language all the time. And that's the scariest part about the legal system, I think, is how it's got to have been deliberately designed like this, where there's vague language all over the place. So essentially, if you have enough money who can like determine or bend the vague language, or the person deciding the viewpoint of the vague language, they get to decide what happens and doesn't happen. It's insane.
Yeah.
Jail is a profitable industry. Yeah. I actually know someone who their job is to supply the food for some of the major jails in America. And they are some of the richest people I have ever met. So it's definitely a highly profitable space.
Yeah. And then there's the whole like privatization, right, of jails in America, which is a whole different conversation. But
this is, sorry, one point here, I don't want to lose this because we're going to have a lot more comments here. But, and this is something that I want to bring up when we come back to the end of the conversation. I got a lot of notes that I want to get to, but laws are useless with no mechanism in place to enforce them. That's true, right? So I think that comes down to people seeing themselves as, I'm not saying take matters into your own hands and do anything physical at all, but I'm saying like accountability has to be held by us agreeing on what is good and making sure that comes to be, right? And how we do that, I think, is open conversation, dialogue, and holding people accountable. Also, I think it's important that people do get involved in politics in a rational way, which is so hard to do, and they make it nearly impossible to become educated and not, what's the proper word? Not like sensationalized or extreme. But we need more people who aren't messed up in politics.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you were just talking about this the other day. Like, how do we incentivize people who want to be in politics, right? So do you want to go down that path of that thought you were talking about the other day?
Sure, yeah. And I would actually love to open this up to the chat because I think that dialogue on these subjects is so important because you guys are smarter than me. You're going to help me etch this out. But I was trying to think about how I grew up in Canada, right? And so I know that I was always a high achiever, and there was never a moment where I debated going into politics. Not once. And even when people were like, "Oh, you could be this, you could be that," I was like, "There's no shot where I would do that." Because I look around who's there right now. I wouldn't want to associate with them. And two, I look around and I'm like, I could get way more elsewhere. And also the current structure, of course, again, I'm aware that it's the best that we had at the time, but it incentivizes short-term decisions with long-term ramifications, which is like, of course, we're going to have a shit show. Like, how else could we not?
100%. So yeah, it's like, so now in the United States, we're talking about, we're going to bring this back, I promise. We're talking about like banning Congress from being able to trade stocks and stuff. And some Congress people are saying, well, yeah, totally. Take away my ability to just earn money, right, as a politician. And then now I don't want to be a politician,
Mhm.
right? So there's an interesting thing to be thinking about with all of that.
With blockchain technology, I'm sure that people who are creative and smarter than me could come up with some ways, and we have to get a lot of people involved in these conversations. But the long-term impact of your decisions and the consistency in what you say versus what you do should be rewarded some way financially, in my opinion, right? And so I think that would incentivize better behavior. I honestly don't even hire employees anymore unless there's some sort of performance incentive built into their work. Because I can just see, right? Like naturally, people are going to go create their own incentives if they're not there. And another one here, you got to be a fantastic liar to be a politician. I think that's definitely part of it. But I also think the systems are in place where sometimes people are naive to how much they can do when they actually get there. So I think it's a combination of factors.
Yeah, I mean, it's all so wild, bro. I guess we won't go too deep down that rabbit hole, but I do want to double down on this idea that if you are someone who is a high performer, you are intelligent, and you can make things happen, you're not incentivized to be a politician because you will not be compensated for doing that in government.
No.
Okay.
And you'll deal with so much BS.
Yeah.
And it's not like in business, when I solve a problem, sorry to cut you off, Keith, I move on to another one, right? And it's like a completely different problem. As a politician, you're solving the same problem over and over again in a different font.
I'll leave it there. So yeah, guys. So we got on that conversation because we were talking about kind of like, okay, 2013, 2016, we had this Silk Road platform get shut down. And we were thinking about like, how do we hold people who's supposed to really be held accountable for a platform that other people were using to do nefarious things, right? Like you could buy and sell anything on that platform, but people were choosing to do, yeah, it was a marketplace, right? And so you're going to go and you're going to take down the founder of the marketplace. Like he wasn't the one that was facilitating these trades. It's like basically they could have gone after Satoshi as well, right? To say, oh, well, Satoshi was responsible for facilitating these trades because the currency that was being used was the Satoshi made currency, but they didn't have Satoshi to go after.
That's also why he couldn't have a face or a name.
Right.
Right. We talked about this before. The spreading mechanism would have been greatly reduced. And it's also something you can take out. And
That's right.
people, as we've learned where we are in society, I do think this is starting to change, but a lot of people are just willingly ignorant. And so they wouldn't have become educated enough to understand that it doesn't matter that he would be gone. Right. And that could just probably stall the momentum and stop the movement of it. Right. So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that was one big thing that happened in 2013 that made regulators and everybody say, oh, like this Bitcoin thing is only being used for nefarious activity. So this is when you start to get this. Before this, nobody cared. Now we're getting something that happened that is affecting mainstream society. And we're saying, oh, this is a bad thing. Bitcoin is bad. The other thing that happened around that time was 2014. You had the Mt. Gox collapse. So you had, I really don't know actually the specifics of what happened with Mt. Gox, but it was the crypto exchange at the time. It was the platform. Okay. So if you were dealing with Bitcoin, if you were trading Bitcoin, this was pretty much the place to do it. And eventually they kind of went insolvent for some reason. Actually, I need to look at this real quick. And then basically everyone who had their Bitcoin on that platform lost it. So they collapsed in 2014 after losing approximately 850,000 Bitcoin due to massive security breaches and mismanagement, which led to a bankruptcy and a long civil rehabilitation process where a court-appointed trustee is now distributing the recovered assets. So that, I believe, started happening last year. They first started distributing these assets back to people last year. But this was in 2014, right? So that was an entire decade, by the way.
That's a long time to wait.
Huge point to make on this for anyone dealing around in crypto and all this. We'll get to FTX later, but these custodial platforms, okay, they hold your crypto on your behalf. And when you leave your crypto on these platforms, there's anything in the world that can happen. They can get hacked, they can mismanage your funds, they can just go away, they can get prosecuted, and then, government sees that stuff, whatever. When that happens, because of the limited nature of these assets, there isn't really a way to claw that back.
You can't.
It's gone.
Yeah. who was it that went down, that lending platform that would give you a yield? BlockFi, Celsius.
Well, that one too.
BlockFi, I lost a lot of crypto in that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then all they gave me back was like years later was the value of the asset when it had tanked.
That's correct.
I was like, you pricks. At one point, I had like a good chunk of money in there, and then they gave me the fair market value today. And I'm like, I would have sold, I hope. But you know what I mean? Like, I would have sold some.
Yeah, so all of that optionality that you had when you had the asset is
Gone.
Okay, they're just going to mark it from whatever it was then, and then they'll pay you back that amount. And when you're talking about a decade in Bitcoin, y'all, right? These people got gypped on that situation. So just be careful, learn about the process and the concept of self-custody. I talked about it in the video today. It's really important to understand that. And so, yeah, just wanted to talk about that one. So at that point, people were like, this isn't innovation. This is a risk to consumers and a risk to the enforcement of our laws. And then so you had a bunch of the regulators stepping in. You had FinCEN, which is the top watchdog in finance. They're like I don't even know how to put it. They're not the SEC, but they are basically like, dang, how do you describe FinCEN? They're like the actual people that find the stuff. You know what I mean? Like they kind of do the actual work. The SEC just does the legal side of it. So FinCEN is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and it's a bureau within the U.S. Department of Treasury that collects and analyzes information about financial transactions to combat domestic and international money laundering. So once FinCEN starts to say like, oh, we're talking about this Bitcoin thing now, and we're going to start like we have tools, right, to figure out what's going on here. And if you're doing something nefarious, we'll find you, then it's serious. And once again, 2014, 2016 areas when they started doing that. And then you had the KYC and AML requirements coming in. And banks are quietly, getting discouraged from touching crypto companies, right? This is when, you could like log into your Chase Bank and maybe try to buy something on Coinbase, and you might get a notice saying, no, you can't do that, right? There was a lot of things happening around that time. And then fast forward just a little bit, you get 2017, 2019. 2017, everything changed because now you had the ICO boom. Okay, so you've got ICOs are initial coin offerings. So you had these people going out there, man, appreciate you, 206 ICE. Really, really greatly appreciated. So in 2017, you had people going out into the open market and raising money. Okay, so you had people that were using these crypto blockchain platforms to just go out and say, oh, well, if you give me money, I'll give you these tokens and I'll take that money and I'll go and build out this project. But like there's regulations around raising money. You can't just raise money using this new technology because it's a new technology. Like there's still laws in place around raising money. And so this is when the conversation started to be had around, okay, we definitely don't like Bitcoin. We definitely think it's being used for nefarious stuff. But then you've got this thing called Ethereum, where people are raising money via these ICOs to go out and start new projects on Ethereum. And on Ethereum, basically there's different token standards that you have on Ethereum. ERC20s is the main one that you can kind of have as a standardized token format. And this is the type of token that these people were launching to raise money on Ethereum. Now, at that point, people are like, the government is like, the SEC is like, y'all can't just raise money because it's a new tech. Like this is still raising money. And if you're not working with the fundraising exemptions, okay, there's a bunch of regulations in the United States. You have Reg D, Reg S, in all of these different formats that they have. Like you can come and file with us to raise money, but you can't just go out here and hire celebrities like T.I. And all these people that ended up getting hit by the SEC. So anyways, 2017 era was the beginning of the ICO boom and the question of, are these securities or not? Quickly, the definition of a security using the Howey test, which is a Supreme Court case, I believe, that happened back in the day. It's when you're looking at an investment or at an exchange of money, you're asking yourself these four questions. Am I investing in a common enterprise? Am I giving money in a common enterprise with the expectation of profits based upon the efforts of others? Okay, so it's kind of the four-pronged test. Is there money being exchanged? Yes. Is there a common enterprise? Meaning, is there a collective for what it is that we're giving money to? Am I expecting the money that I'm giving to come back and give me more money? And does that require someone else's effort? Okay, so that's what the Howey test is all about. And a lot of these things in the ICO boom did fit that criteria. A lot of people were selling vaporware, right? There was nothing that they were actually like offering. With Bitcoin, first off, there wasn't an ICO. There wasn't it was a distribution model where you went out and you mined it. But with this, people were raising money saying, "Oh, we will build out this tech." And it's like, but what tech and how qualified were these people to do it? There was nothing like that. But people were just buying this dream because they thought that crypto is going to change the world and it's going to be the future. So clearly these people are going to figure that out. But a lot of those, I mean, all those projects are gone today. Okay. So anyways, the SEC started going after people because what people would do, much like the meme coin stuff that we just saw a couple years ago or a year ago now, when you hire a celebrity. I just saw Adam 22 talking about this because CoffeeZilla called Adam 22 out because they went out and he got offered like $1 million or $100,000 to go and promote this crypto token. And this is what was happening in 2017 as well. And so you've got these massive celebrities being paid crazy amounts of money because these people who are running these projects know that they'll give them the money, or excuse me, that they'll be able to raise, millions of dollars from people buying this token at one time just because this person has endorsed it. So these people are selling out their name for these tokens that are being created by people that they don't know. And then the SEC is like, bro, y'all cannot do that. So anyways, the point of me talking about this was because this started the SEC coming down hard on crypto projects in 2017.
Yes. And they have been attacking things within crypto for a very long time, which really stalled innovation too, because so many of the biggest builders that had spent their life's work building here didn't know if they were going to be shut down or like able to continue with the work that they have done. So it was very much a tough time for a long period of time, really up until I'd say Trump came into office, where everyone started breathing a sigh of relief saying, okay, we're good here. And so that's also why everyone thought last year would be so amazing for the markets, because it's the first pro-crypto president. This is going to go crazy. And we did not get that, obviously. But I think we get that this year, to be honest. And I'm one of the only remaining bulls left, but I still think this is going to be a fantastic year.
Yeah, you're on an island, man. You're on an island.
It's warm over here. In case any of y'all want to join, come on over. swim on over.
I even saw, I think Tom Lee.
Saying it's going to be
caved in.
Yeah, he finally went, and he's permable is what he constantly gets called. So I don't know what to call me. Infinable, like.
Yeah, exactly. So fast forward a little bit from 2017. At that point, also Wall Street is seeing an issue, by the way, because they're like, wait a minute, these people are out here just raising money willy nilly. They're probably tipping off the SEC like, hey, they can't do that. Totally. Like, we're paying all this money jealous, for lawyers. Yeah. And so yeah, 2017 things started to change. And then we had this like kind of lawfare kind of scene where everything just got super political. And then you had fast forward a little bit further. So now we're like 2020-ish era. And this was the moment where a lot of things changed yet again, because we had the FTX scandal. Okay. So first thing that was important about this era was the rise of stablecoins. Stablecoins started to be a little bit bigger of a deal. So now you've got, the entire US government saying, wait a minute, like there's something going on here. We need to be paying attention to this. This is getting legit. Not just from a capital raising perspective, but from the perspective of like, this is systemically becoming something that we have to figure out, because there's money that's moving in these markets that is affecting the traditional system now. So they were, banks and regulators are worried about, are they going to lose monetary control? Is capital moving outside of the regulated institutions? And are private companies issuing money, right? Are they issuing public money? And if so, how are they doing that? And then you had, my goodness, Libra coin from Facebook, right?
Yeah,
Regulators came down hard on that.
Did they ever? That thing was alive for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's actually crazy, because somebody could have been like drawing that up for years.
Oh, totally. They were, dude. What a shitty day that'd be, eh?
They're like, we've got this awesome plan.
Nope.
Senators are like, not a chance. And it's actually kind of fair. I mean, I was like, yeah, I mean, if Facebook has a currency, bro, like, government is done.
They become banks, man. But that seems like that's where things are going. It
For
seems
sure.
like tech companies are becoming banks and banks are becoming tech companies.
That is exactly what's happening. It's super wild to see that occur. I mean, Robinhood is probably one of the most clear examples of this internet platform that continues to consume all of financial markets, right?
Totally.
They
Yeah,
acquired,
go ahead.
They acquired Bitstamp, I think it was, which is one of the oldest standing, the
Mm.
oldest, I think, standing crypto exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And now the prediction markets, and you might not
You-
go there today, but
You got to think they shut down trading during the whole GameStop thing because they're like, oh, we'll make it up to you later.
ooh.
You got to think there's a little bit of that.
I mean, all of that was wild too. Culturally more than anything, right? To me, what all that said was, because this is before, crypto was a big part of their whole thing for sure.
Mhm.
And I'm like, this shows us the importance of blockchain and distributed ledgers and permissionless technology, because you shouldn't be able to just shut down my ability to transact, right?
Totally. BitNative here says, I don't agree. Becoming a bank requires way too much regulation. How we currently do it and currently see it. But I think a lot of those things are being forced to change or being redefined. So we'll see. How are banks becoming tech companies? How would you answer that question, Keith?
Well, how do you access your bank today?
Yeah,
right?
it's all tech.
It's an app on your phone.
And they're shockingly shit. Like, to be honest, like how much money they have and how much money changes hand via the banks. At least here in Canada, I mostly deal with Canadian banks. Like they're so primitive in their
That's
online use. Like the system looks like it was made in freaking 2014. They don't have features that are clear and obvious additions, and that's also because we have an obscene amount of regulation around our
That
banking
could be.
industry. Yeah, that might be why. But also, our banks are in a pretty bad situation here because our whole system is propped up by mortgages and our housing values.
Mhm.
And why we didn't get impacted as much as you guys did during the housing market crash was because of that very thing, right? And now everyone saw Canada as this safe haven place for their money. So we got an obscene amount of foreign investment into this country that
Mhm.
dramatically and artificially raised the prices because people are buying homes here, Keith, and not even coming.
Wow.
Right. I would walk around my town and it was like very common for a house to be bought for multiple millions of dollars and no one moves in.
Just for the investment.
Yes. And because it was, and also they would use it to launder money
Okay.
and also to save money from other countries where they felt like it wasn't as safe with their current thing. And so that's created this massive problem where the Canadian economy, I'm so curious to see how they're going to play this, because much like what our guest last episode was talking about, how like prices can't fall. It's like, yes, okay, but you guys have the money printer unlike we do, right? Like we don't have the same sort of
Right.
influence with our money printer that you guys do. So how they bail themselves out of this situation, I'm not entirely sure. It'll be very interesting to see, and I'm hopeful that they can make it in a way that doesn't impact Canada like much worse.
Right. And back to the conversation around like how are banks becoming tech companies?
Mhm.
Yeah. So Robinhood and SoFi, said Pascal. Absolutely. And then also
Homelessness is bad.
Plaid. My favorite company, I think like maybe of all time.
Mhm.
My favorite fintech company
Why?
has been Plaid. Because Plaid, dude, changed the game. And I feel like so few consumers actually understood what they did.
They're
Like-
kind of a pain in the ass to use, though, man. Every time that I have to do it, I have to do it every time, and it usually bugs out. I have to do like
That's
3 or 4
changing.
times. Yeah,
You're saying like when you're okay.
sending something, like I have to sign in like 4 times. They're the integration, I believe, with Wise.
So
And go ahead.
they're becoming the Google sign-in though. Okay. And that's when they've accomplished their mission. When you basically just have your Plaid wallet. Okay.
Damn.
And that's connected to everything. I think Plaid is the best positioned fintech company for the future.
Why?
And they couldn't get acquired. And the government didn't let Visa acquire them. Right.
Which is
And that's
good.
when I knew that they had something. Because I'm like, oh snap. Like they literally won't let
Stripe's got this another comment here from the Rakoy Chris. Plaid and Stripe. Yeah, Stripe's a beast as well. And they're doing a lot of things right. And they've been consistently saying they're going to involve more and more crypto products into their system. And they're getting the messaging piece right. Have you seen their podcast?
No, I haven't. But
You'd
I
like
saw
it a
them
lot.
go on on All In, and that was when I started to see like, oh, okay, these guys are hit.
A Cheeky Pint is the name of the podcast. Honestly, I love it. I'm a big Guinness guy too, so that definitely helps. They take down a creamy Guinness with every episode, creamer, and then they talk tech, man. And they're some of the brightest minds in tech. And I think what Stripe has as an advantage from a messaging point of view is their founder doesn't seem like a robot, which is pretty rare for the tech industry. I also think that his accent helps a lot too. It doesn't seem as scary as a lot of these guys.
Fair.
But he brings on the elites of the elites within tech.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's super cool. I will I'll
That's one of
definitely
the
keep my eye on it.
That's one of the few pods that I watch fairly consistently.
Love it.
Where do
They
you
definitely deserve it.
Where do you want to go
So
next?
yeah, so anyways, fast forward FTX. All right, this is the thing where things start getting serious because now you've got this guy who just ran out there. He was like raising money from politicians and all this, or he was giving money, to politicians and, you know, potentially pushing some sort of agendas. And meanwhile, he's the darling of crypto. He's the guy on the Forbes magazine. He's multi-billionaire, the richest man ever. And then it comes out that there's a complete sham going on in the background. They're taking people's money, they're trading with it, they're losing money, and then just breaking all the rules of how finance is supposed to work. When someone gives you their money, right, you have a fiduciary responsibility to protect that money, and they were not doing that. They were having parties and like doing all kind of crazy stuff.
The FTX stuff you're talking about, right?
Yes.
If you guys want some good TV, go look into that whole thing. Read what was going on within the FTX ecosystem. There was some crazy stuff. And they also had some massive brand names brought in, like Tom Brady. I think Shaq was involved. Like a lot of people got royally screwed from that association. So the other lesson there, guys, is you probably don't want to attach yourself to something you don't completely understand. And not to say that like, because even if it goes well, if you don't understand why it's going well, that's still problematic.
It's a really good point. Really good point. So Sam Bankman-Fried, the darling of crypto.
Yeah,
right?
the chosen one, the guy who is like the nerdiest looking dude ever, but he was getting like so much love from everyone.
Yes. And he put a huge stain on the game. Yeah, Tom Brady, all these people, all these brands. I mean, they were sponsoring everything. You know what I mean?
Everything. Well, they had an infinite money glitch.
Infinite money glitch. So even a podcast called Up Only with Kobe and all them, right? They were sponsored by BlockFi or whatever, who ended up being like bought by FTX. Like everything just kind of went awry when that happened. And so I was in Miami at the time. The Miami arena was the FTX arena even after all of that,
Yes.
right? Because they had signed a deal, right, for the whole FTX arena, which was wild, right? It's like there's a scam that is the stadium of the city.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's kind of crazy.
It's crazy. Like that's terrible branding for cryptocurrency.
Tough look.
And you can't ignore it. It's literally the stadium.
The UFC had that too, where it was the crypto.com, the association there. And then I think VeChain also sponsored too. And VeChain's done absolutely nothing. And so whenever crypto.com would pop up, like I got a bunch of texts from buddies being like, whenever I see this shit, I want to punch you.
Crypto.com is still around though. They didn't do anything wrong, did they?
No, not that I know of. But yeah, they're still around. It's just the branding and it's the association with crypto. A lot of people got burned. Like retail's got hurt so bad last cycle. But in the defense of crypto in general, everyone who got burned was pretty misinformed. Yeah.
When I saw that stuff going down, so once again, guys, leave your assets off of exchanges. If they're offering yield to you, understand why there's a risk in that.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, I had very little sympathy for people at the time. The only people I had sympathy for were the people who had their money in like pension funds, and these pension fund managers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Didn't, do their due diligence, and they didn't understand this technology, and they didn't understand that it might be worth investing in trying to have your own security protocols, because you don't just give hundreds of millions of dollars to some 28-year-old kid who is a genius. Like, no, bro. Like, what are their security protocols? This is an asset that can be self-custodied. Do you understand that as a fiduciary of these people that are giving you money for their pension? Brother, you can't be doing that.
No.
But anyways,
That's people's livelihoods, their future, their everything.
and so now regulators had a real excuse. Okay. Now it was like, okay, this is a problem. This is something that we need to solve. So what happens? You get an all-out war against crypto. You've got what ended up becoming what's called choke point 2.0. Okay. And what this was essentially banking regulators and banks themselves coming down hard on everyone in the crypto industry. This is 2021 to 2023 or 2024, really, until there was a regime change. This was going on. So you had federal agencies like the FDIC, the Federal Reserve, and the Office of Comptroller of the Currency issuing warnings and informal guidance to banks, talking about dealing with crypto companies. And this all came out in the courts, by the way. The Coinbase CEO, or excuse me, the Coinbase CLO, their general counsel, basically started putting all the stuff out on the internet. They're like, with the redactions that they had to have, these agencies were sending letters to banks saying you cannot work with these people. Essentially, like if they would say like this, like if you're working with crypto companies, then we might have to shut you down, or we might have to, impose some sort of restrictions on your activities, or we might need to fine you if you're doing this stuff. And so they started coming after individuals. Okay. They didn't only go for the companies. They were taking individuals who were involved in the crypto industry's bank accounts down. Okay. So last year you saw a bunch of like hoopla about, oh, y'all are debanking conservatives and all of this. Okay. What was really happening was this choke point 2.0 thing where they were coming after crypto companies, which maybe some of these people were conservatives or whatever. But anyways, so that was pretty serious because now we're talking about, now we're looking like Canada. Just taking people's bank accounts down and stuff. But anyways.
I think they'll, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying the whole Canada things, it scares me a lot where things will go here because they've really trained us to be so complicit, and we are so bought into whatever altruistic undertone they attach to a movement. We buy it every time. Every time. And then the people who we self-police, we self-govern. That's why look at the state of our country and we keep voting the same way. And we pride ourselves on being such an intelligent nation. What is the definition of insanity? It's impossible to have a conversation here also because a lot of people are very politicized and they're also, it's not even worth touching because people come out of the woodworks and start saying crazy shit and they're so ignorant and they don't realize the echo chamber they're operating within. And it's just, it's hard to have conversations here, but yeah, it's go ahead, pick back up.
So with Operation Choke Point 2.0, at this point, it's clear that they're trying to slow down the adoption of this technology. They're trying to prevent the players, the companies, the employees from continuing to work in this industry. When you see that your best friend down the street in San Francisco's bank account just got shut down because he joined a crypto startup, right? You're like, well, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it's too much risk.
And so, yeah, you just got this huge what they call this in the scene is regulation through enforcement. Okay, so you're not telling the public what to do. You're just saying in the background to the regulators, like, hey, if they're doing this, then shut down their bank account. It's like, whoa, like, what's the rule, bro? What is the law? Okay, around this, and they weren't giving that. They just were regulating through enforcement. And so, obviously, this made it unclear to know what to do if you're in this space. It increased my legal risk to even join the space. And it starts to also choke off the money that can flow into this space, right? Because if I can't use a bank, then how am I going to get money? How am I going to raise money from my investors, right?
It's impossible.
So anyways, now we fast forward a little bit to where we are today. Okay. We get the current president of the United States. He comes out and he campaigns on, we're going to make America the crypto capital of the world. He even... he had this conference that he went to in Nashville. I gotta find this clip real quick.
Yeah, find it. I'll double down on this comment here saying there's a lot of bots. I think that John was referring to the Canadian political situation. Yeah, we've lived it. We've mentioned it here. We had a video with 200 views and like 14 comments.
Right.
Do you think that's real? There's no way.
Right. So real quick, Gary Gensler was the chairman of the SEC during Operation Choke Point 2.0 and all of the regulation through enforcement activity that was occurring. And the Securities and Exchange Commission is the top watchdog of the securities industry. They've consistently come after founders in the crypto space saying, what you're doing is illegal. You can't raise money this way. These are illegal securities transactions and whatever, fining people and taking them out of the game. So Gary Gensler was the head of the SEC at that time. And when Trump was running for president, he had a speech in a Bitcoin conference in Nashville, Tennessee, and he said this.
Warren and her goons, and she's very nasty to you. She hates your people.
Elizabeth
She hates
Warren.
everything about you. Will keep their hands off Bitcoin. They're going to keep their hands off crypto. They're going to let it grow. We're going to let it grow. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman.
It's huge.
Listen to that now, right? Like tons of applause. Like they stopped him speaking to do that, right?
I didn't know he was that unpopular.
Wow.
Wow. I didn't know he was that unpopular. Let me say it again.
Guy loves the applause.
I will fire Gary Gensler. Whoa.
He's a showman, man. Like for
110,000%, bro. Like that man knows how to work a crowd, right? He knew that that was the line that was going to be the line of the night, right? So he doubled down on it. And so that right there, right, marked the beginning of, okay, he's like, this is something that needs to be fixed, because I come in this room and I haven't gotten applause like that in a long time, right? So these people really care about this issue and they really don't like the way that the SEC has been going about this business. So then you fast forward, right? He finally gets in office. You've got, listen, I'm just going to point it out, you got millions of dollars from crypto companies that are donating to his inaugural fund. Just saying, all right? It happened. It was Ripple, Circle, all these people. You had pictures of the president meeting with the Ripple CEO and their chief legal counsel as well. And essentially the whole tide is starting to turn. Now, meanwhile, right, let's backpedal a little bit. We had Larry Fink. We had Jamie Dimon talking mad crap about crypto. But in 2024, late 2024, before Trump was in office, BlackRock launched their ETF, the IBIT ETF. And that changed the whole scene, right? Now we've got, wait a minute, BlackRock, the most important, powerful institution in the world, the one launching the most money in the world, the one that has the most ownership of all stocks in the world. They have the proxy votes for all of these, corporations in their custody. And they're launching a Bitcoin ETF. I thought this was all a big scam. I thought this was only for money launderers. So what happened there? And obviously, we've had the government in the United States also turn this 180, and it's made it a lot easier for people to come into the game. So now, instead of worrying about whether or not the SEC is going to come after you just because you mentioned the word crypto, the first few days that Trump was in office, the SEC came out and gave the okay for meme coin trading. They said, oh, it's totally fine. Meme coins are not securities. Right after the president, by the way, dropped his own meme coin. Okay. It was literally like right after he did that. So now it's like, oh, just launch things like as a collectible and you'll be fine. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it, So now what do we have? We have JP Morgan, all these banks recommending even that you start to allocate crypto to your portfolio.
Well, should we talk about the performance of that ETF that they created?
Talk about that real quick. Talk about that.
So from what I've seen, it is their highest grossing revenue product. Their Bitcoin ETF is the single independent thing that makes them the most money. Based, fact check everything I'm saying, as always. But from everything that I've seen online, that's their single highest source. Do you have it here?
So CoinDesk, Bitcoin ETFs are now BlackRock's top revenue source, coming from their executive. So this product launched in January 2024. It reached 70 billion in assets in a record time and generated hundreds of millions in fees in 2024.
That's also really important to understand that that was really the push that was continuously pushing Bitcoin's price, right? That's why it was very much an institutional bid. It's also why we really didn't see a altcoin season yet, was because even the people that did make money in the ETF, they can't easily go higher down the risk curve because it's within an ETF. You can't just easily like take it out, sell it something else. It's not the same process. And so, of course, it wasn't even really retail playing. So a lot of people who are trying to look at the cycle and compare it to previous cycles is kind of silly to do in practice because this is the first institutional cycle.
That is definitely something that I think is worth talking about and considering, is like BlackRock and these institutions are now starting to own a very significant portion of Bitcoin, right? So last thing I just want to say here, because in this article, it does say that the BlackRock Bitcoin exchange traded funds have become the firm's most profitable product line, according to a director of business development at BlackRock Brazil. And that's crazy because they manage over 1,400 ETFs globally. And obviously, this is the largest asset manager in the world with over $13.4 trillion in assets under management. So just wanted to point that out.
And if I understand how ETFs function correctly, say with the stock, the voting share doesn't go to the individual person who's owning a fraction of something. It goes to the ETF provider, correct?
Yeah, I don't know how they do that part of it. That's a good question. I don't know.
I believe that is how it goes. When people buy shares in exchange, they're buying ownership of the fund itself, not directly the underlying stocks. The ETF provider owns the actual assets, while investors own a stake with the funds reflecting. So who gets to vote? Who gets the voting share? Who the voting share? Because I believe that is the case, which only makes sense when, if you think about, you look around at our world, right? And you're like, all these decisions make no sense if you're thinking long term. It's like, well, it makes sense if the voting shares are owned by a tiny amount of people, even though they're seemingly owned by the public. That's not actually the case. Depends on the mutual fund. So it seems like it depends.
Interesting. That's actually fascinating. Yeah. And
delegated to the ETF. Yes. So it seems like I'm not too far off.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's even an option, right? Then, because they have several, 1,400 ETFs, right? So some of them might have different rules. 100%. But anyways, so here we are. There was also, I'm going to try to find some of the stuff around like banks recommending crypto. We had the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, Rodney Hood, come out earlier this year and say, hey, it's totally fine for crypto, for banks to use crypto. I'll try to find that clip at least. And here we are now. So clearly what happened here, right, was BlackRock and Jamie Dimon and all these people, they realized, well, this is going to make money.
Yes, it's happening.
So why don't I make sure that I'm on that side of the equation and sell it to people, right? Jamie Dimon actually said something like this once. He was like, oh, I don't, because they called him out. They're like, okay, well, you said not to touch this for forever, but now you're selling an ETF. And there's a clip out there somewhere of him saying, well, y'all can trade it all you want, but I wouldn't buy it. It's like, that's a crazy thing to do. Let me find this clip real quick of Rodney Hood, who was at the time the standing head of the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, which is basically one of the most important departments of the Treasury where they manage the money system.
Digital assets are firmly ingrained into the financial services landscape. Today, more than 50 million people own cryptocurrency, and hundreds of businesses engage in cryptocurrency and require banking services. National banks and federal savings associations are well positioned to support crypto asset activities from within the federally regulated banking sector. I'm pleased that recently the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency clarified that certain crypto-related activities, including crypto asset custody, holding deposits as reserve backing stablecoins, and using distributed ledger technology and stablecoins for payment activities are all legally permissible. The OCC also confirmed its expectation that banks conducting novel crypto activities do so with appropriate risk management processes in place. This action reduces regulatory burden encourages responsible innovation, and enables banks to leverage new technology and innovative ways to serve their clients and customers. To learn more, visit occ.gov.
Now, I guess he's a regulator, not an actor, but delivery could have been a little bit better there. But anyways, that guy at that moment was one of the most important people in the country. Okay. And he's telling banks, hey, y'all can use crypto. And this was, by the way, this was, this was April in 2025. Okay. So I think the other thing that's worth pointing out here is how not only are banks now starting to, okay, let me go ahead and do this. So Walmart, okay, is also out there accepting crypto now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which, regular folks, people who, go to Walmart, there are 150 million Americans who use Walmart online or in person every week, can now actually have crypto in this very same app. They can buy it, they can hold it, they can store it, they can trade it if they want. And then when they want to go pay for something, they can, turn it into cash. And like we said, OnePay is actually integrated into the checkouts of Walmart. So it is, I think, a milestone in that case, Carl.
Dude,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say all these things. Like I don't understand how people are so bearish. Like everything that could possibly be done. Because even if you're saying like, oh, people with not that much money, like who doesn't go to Walmart? Like if you're saying you need to get retail back, retail is Walmart consumers, right? And so a few of them are probably going to take advantage of this ability to do this. And then essentially, if it goes up, they're saving on their groceries every single day, right? And all these people who are going to be talking about this, they're going to be bragging about it on TikTok every 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, if we just look at the market from the structural standpoint of what's happening on the charts, right?
So
it's just ugly.
Yeah, it's super ugly, but I think it can turn beautiful really quickly.
So a couple other things. Bank of America, this was December 30th, 2025, just the other day. Bank of America officially recommends clients put up to 4% of their portfolio in Bitcoin and crypto. By the way, one of the owners, right? One of the big owners, Warren Buffett has called it rat poison multiplications. Okay, just saying. CNBC, Morgan Stanley is launching their own Bitcoin ETF now. Okay, why? Because there's money in it. You see BlackRock making all that money, you go say, hold on,
I want some of that.
Let me get some of that.
To come this year?
I think that Morgan Stanley, being the first big U.S. bank to take this step to file to launch its own ETFs, is a huge endorsement. So we've started to see this comeback of institutional cash just in the first few trading days of the year. Finally, the surge in spot Bitcoin ETFs, which were net outflows for the last few months of 2025. And what this really signals is that Morgan Stanley, for one, has been the most progressive. They put out their 15,000 FAs pitching spot Bitcoin ETFs back in August 2024 when it was a much less popular trade. And now you're seeing BlackRock's IBIT accounting for the vast majority of the cash that's parked in those spot Bitcoin ETFs. And if I'm Morgan Stanley, I'm thinking, why not offer it myself? And they're also, through their brokerage, E-Trade, going to let customers directly trade and hold the assets themselves.
So that's another one. One more thing, because this one was pretty big too. They've actually started to accept Bitcoin and crypto as collateral at JP Morgan.
Early days. And for now, JP Morgan is allowing clients to pledge Bitcoin and Ether as collateral for loans. Leslie Picker is joining us now with details. Hi, Leslie.
Hey, Morgan. Yeah, and chatting with sources familiar with the matter, I'm told it's still early days. And for now, the concept is limited to the firm's trading business. JP Morgan's trading business has, for a few months now, accepted IBIT, the ETF, as a form of collateral, which it sees as less volatile as the underlying currency. However, I'm told that certain hedge fund managers and asset managers are demanding more of these types of crypto services. Although, again, I'm told that offering Bitcoin and Ether as collateral for trading is not imminent at the firm.
Okay.
While many remember, as you mentioned, Morgan, Jamie Dimon's comments about Bitcoin being, say, a pet rock, he has moderated his tone recently.
I love how at least, that he won't get enough of that, right, over time as it becomes their largest revenue generator, having all these ETFs and stuff as well, too. I think it's worth pointing out that I think she said that the IBIT ETF is what they're using as collateral. and not Bitcoin and Ethereum itself, that's actually very interesting.
That's an important distinction.
And I also think that that's kind of stupid.
Why is it stupid?
Because that's a pass-through entity. Like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong there now, right? Because now, what if something goes wrong with their acquisition of the Bitcoin? What if they don't have access to the keys of the Bitcoin? You know what I mean? Like, you're delegating something that's really important, which is the custody of the crypto. So anyways, yeah, that's not a good idea. But anyways, but looking forward, right, we will get to the point to where, by the way, and that's also for institutions, right? That's not for individuals right now. That's not what they're doing, but it sets the precedent, right, for what's going to be coming in the future. And you better believe if there's a product that will have a way for these banks to get your crypto,
they're going to do it.
They're going to offer it. They're going to offer it. And I warned about this on the main channel, on my main channel all the time. It's like, once we get to the point to where everything is everything's tokenized and everything trades 24/7, like, I have no doubt that there's going to be someday where when people have leverage on their Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin just does a flash crash overnight while everyone's asleep, it goes down to like 10,000, bang, liquidates everything, everybody, and then shoots right back up or goes to some crazy level even after that. Scary to me, but I do think that that's kind of the world that we could head into, and it's going to be really important because of that. I think personally to stay away from using leverage in these types of platforms, because this stuff is funny money in a way. So when you get you can have those types of things happen and it only screw over the little guy when crypto just does a flash crash like that, you know? So anyways, just something I wanted to point out.
No, 100%, man. Did you have anything else to show?
No, that's I think that's the main stuff right now.
Well, the whole core point of this episode was essentially just to show you how, yes, there may be blood in the streets, everyone might be freaking out, but the people who play rigged games are saying out loud they're rigging this one too, right? And so it's one of those things where I tend not to listen to the herd, because the herd is being told things that I don't. If you do, I think it's really important to develop your own decision-making models, your own ways to analyze things, your own source of information, and also try to fight consensus, because historically that's not the best move to follow the herd. You typically get screwed like everyone else. And so I wanted to show you some people that I really like that follow this kind of ideology that I have. Let me see if I can share it here. Right here. I think you can see him. Cool. So here is a tweet. I'll make it bigger for y'all. So it's from one of my favorite creators, your friend Sami, in the crypto game. He's absurdly funny. And if you are a bull like me, you'll like him too, because he's one of the few bulls that we have left. And so he's one of my biggest sources for up-to-date information, because this guy just studies this stuff 24/7, 365 and makes videos about it. So go find him on YouTube too. But why I bring this up in this specific episode is because a fairly big transaction was made that involves Trump. So another one of these elites. Donald Trump's DeFi project, World Liberty Finance, has dumped Bitcoin to buy Ethereum. They sold 15 million Bitcoin and they bought 15 million Ethereum. Bullish on the ETH BTC ratio. And so he mentioned, like Sami mentions all the time about how everyone is saying, he actually makes this joke. He's like, bear market confirmed, bear market confirmed. And he makes fun of everyone who just screams what everyone parrots, right? And so his current thesis is he thinks it's more likely actually that ETH may hit its all-time high before Bitcoin does again, right? Which is almost no one believes that. And so if that does come to fruition, he deserves credit for saying that. So I wanted to shout him out here. Go show him some love. He is an awesome follow on Twitter. And he's also equally awesome on YouTube as well. He posts like 4 videos a day, dude. And he would have like so many more viewers if his thumbnails were different. His packaging is like, would push away anyone who's not a massive nerd to give it a try. It would just, you wouldn't come in and try it. But his content is great. And he's really smart too.
Love it, man. Shout out to Sami.
Your friend Sami. But that's a big deal, right? If they're selling 15 million of Bitcoin, is it guaranteeing that Ethereum's going to go up? No, but people typically do what they think is going to make them more money.
For sure. Yeah. that's one of the things about the World Liberty 5 project that I think is really cool. I mean, we have, right, like we know what they hold, right? We know what moves they're making. So, from that side of things, right? Because they're obviously going to have stuff that's not purely on that, right? They're in those wallets, right? Or on Ethereum at all. But they also hold a lot of wrapped Ether and Bitcoin is something that I've tried to point out in the past, because I think that that's significant, right? That means that they're participating in like DeFi activities with what they have as well. And also that they're trusting of wrapped Ether.
But for Sami's thesis, I had no problem when he said that, 'cause I watch a lot of his videos, and when he said that, I'm like, yeah, I would have probably said something similar because of what's being built and how many of the elites chose Ethereum as their chosen blockchain, where you can't do a lot of the things that make them the most money on something like Bitcoin. You just can't, right? So they had to pick one. Ethereum was the obvious choice for where things were. I think things can change and move over time because we're really just guessing at this point. But I do think the first one out the gate is going to be ETH. And in my opinion, this is not financial advice. I think it's dramatically underpriced for like what's being built. In my opinion, like, again, it could go to zero tomorrow. Don't buy any of it. But I'm saying, in my opinion, when I look at the charts, I'm like, I think this is underpriced relative to everything else, the bullish news, all those things. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see that. And maybe I'm the biggest idiot on the planet, but at least I know there's two of us, me and Sami, hanging out.
I want to point out some of this. This guy right here is a hugely, he's a senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg, and he's a huge asset to anyone in the crypto space wanting to keep up with the crypto ETFs. So he just posted this in early or mid-December. He talked about the 124 crypto ETFs in registration by coin. So he said there's a tidal wave coming, but liquidations too, as not all make it. But that's capitalism. Anyways, so just looking at all of these different ETFs out there, okay, that all of these banks and financial institutions are trying to file because of, I guess, right? You don't file for an ETF unless there's demand for this product, right? And so you've got Bitcoin being the number one. You've got a basket of all of them. You've got XRP, okay, being the third with the most active filings. Solana, Ethereum, all of these different altcoins, okay, that people are filing for ETFs on. And at the very minimum, it's a sign that these institutions have someone telling them that they want this. And it can't be a couple of retail traders in their basement. Okay, this has to be someone like who's got some money, okay, who's got some money or some clients' money, and they're saying, hey, my clients need one of these. Can you get me one of those XRP ETFs? That'd be awesome, man. So yeah.
I think there's going to be a few massive winners when they start doing the altcoin ETFs that will make people so much money. And just like you said, people will want to be the next up because they want to ride the wave up and do that. And I think it's important for us to talk about what can happen if things do go positively, right? Not saying that they will, but I think a lot of people who are even in crypto, they've not really lived through prior cycles and seen how crazy things can get really quickly, right? And so I've been talking about this at length with my girlfriend because I didn't know her at the time when I went through the last cycle. And when things really get crazy, the question to ask isn't like, what did you buy? It's, did you sell? Because when things go crazy in like an altcoin season, everything goes up. Everyone's making obscene amounts of money. The only question worth asking is, did you sell? Most people haven't lived through those environments. And most people also, it's really easy to look at a chart and not understand the context of how everything felt around you and the world was going on. That's why I always try to, I consider myself a pattern detection machine, right? And this feels eerily similar to the last time shit went crazy. It just does. I always listen to how I feel, like really closely. I'm taking in data points 24/7. I'm a bit of a crackhead that way. Like I'm always learning, either reading or listening 24/7, and it feels the same. So this may age horribly, but
I'm literally just picturing the clips.
Yeah. But what if I'm right, Keith? And I'll be wrong again and again. I'm not saying any sort of specific price, but I think that people are going to be, unfortunately or fortunately, surprised by what comes. And we'll see. Again, I could be so freaking wrong, but I do think it's worth going back and looking at the how quickly these things can move. And also, other point is, because we've had our ass kicked for so many months in a row, the only people holding crypto are the diamond of the diamond hands.
That I will definitely agree with you on.
So how can supply shocks not happen incredibly quickly, especially if there's demand from these ETFs that start getting going? There's Walmart shit that gets going. Like, people become aware that BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF is their highest grossing independent vehicle.
So speaking to that, we did get just, I think yesterday or 2 days ago now, CNBC had this clip, and it was like, where are we in the cycle? So let's hear this real quick.
The hottest crypto trade of the year is not Bitcoin. It is not Ether. It is XRP, the coin formerly known as Ripple, soaring more than 20% this year, becoming the third largest cryptocurrency out there. And there's big money behind this trade. Mackenzie Sagalos joins us now with that XRP trade, and what, Mac, is driving all of this interest in XRP?
Well, what's actually been interesting is that during the doldrums of Q4, you actually saw a lot of people piling into those XRP ETFs, which is the exact opposite of what happens with the spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs, where people really move in tandem with the price of the coin. But it was the fact that it is a way to have a higher percentage jump. So people were buying the dip with XRP in Q4, thinking this is a less crowded trade than Bitcoin or Ether. And then that proved out to be true just in the first 6 trading days of January.
So anyways, calling out XRP as the trade of the year in the middle of what's supposed to be a bear market.
They're doomed.
What's going on here? I mean, I hate seeing mainstream media talking positively about crypto. To me, that's usually a bad sign, to be fair. But I do think that it is worth signaling that she's specifically calling out XRP. And it's like, why?
I don't know if that's true anymore, because I think the pendulum swings back and forth, right? And so now, if general consensus is that you can't trust the mainstream media, if I'm the puppeteer in the background, I need to throw them something so people start listening again. Right? So why not make them early on what's about to happen? Say, see, you should have listened to us. We were right the whole time. And then the cycle continues.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see. We're gonna see, man. I would be delighted if XRP were the trade of the year. Someone also mentioned in the chat, they said, could I listen to this on Spotify? Yes, you can listen to this on Spotify, but you can't listen to it live.
Yes.
So if you are a Spotify listener, first off, be sure to give us a 5-star rating, right? On Spotify. Go into the Spotify, go into the Apple Musics. We're on there. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps a ton.
It helps so much.
That we're doing.
Yeah, Spotify and Apple, free to you, means the world to us. Go in there, give us a 5-star rating. I'll say it once more because I'm a social media nerd stuff, so I know this stuff works. But their algorithms don't have as many interaction data points. So ratings are so over leveraged in terms of how much they mean. That's why when I used to start shows for clients back in the day, Keith, I would almost guarantee them they get in the top 100 podcasts, because I would spam them with ratings. And so they would jump to, like, so me as a 22-year-old kid on my first podcast called Do Dope Shit, got into the top 100 business podcasts in my first month, because I understood how the algorithm worked, right? The content was ass. It sounded like shit, but I got it into the top 100.
And what was that podcast called, you said?
It doesn't exist anymore, but my first ever podcast was called Do Dope Shit. It actually still does exist, but I changed the name of it like 4 times, because I called it that because I was trying to think through the problem. Like, podcasts have changed my life, but I know that my friends would never listen to a show called like Change Your Life Business Advice or whatever, right? So I'm like, maybe if I called it Do Dope Shit, they'd listen to it. So I called it that. And then it honestly was doing quite well. I became very connected with people that I was shocked would say yes, they did. And then when I was applying for jobs, this one employer was like, she was like, I would never hire you because you have a show named Do Dope Shit. I was like, well, you sound like you suck. But then like my academic advisor also found it, and they like really pressured me, and I was like, okay, I'll change the name. And so then I changed the name.
Yeah, I mean, as a young person, I guess, right, it's fair. But what's it called now?
I don't even know if it still exists. Let me see. It probably still comes up if you just look up Do Dope Shit, to be honest.
We're gonna go back and we're gonna find Ben's old podcast, y'all.
If you guys, I've been making content about podcasting for nearly a decade. If you want to see some funny shit, you want to see some young Ben, let's go look at him quick. My first video that popped off on YouTube was me talking about podcasting. I may have showed it on the pod before. Look at me. Ben Levitt, that's me. And then popular right here. So let me share my screen now. And honestly, the platforms have not changed that much since I was doing this, like in terms of the podcasting platforms. So everything that I said still really reigns true. So
Thomas said Ben definitely watches anime. Seems like the type of guy.
I don't watch anime, but I used to watch Dragon Ball Z as a kid, and I used to watch Pokemon religiously. But I don't watch anime anymore. I really don't watch anything besides like football once a week when the Jags play, and then everything else is pretty well academic, podcast, books.
I gotta ask, like, what kind? Because you were talking about like lectures and stuff that you're always watching and listening to, and what types of stuff are you listening to,
bro? Everything, like from like math lectures to philosophy lectures. I watch every one of Predictive History's videos. I'll show him because this is my channel, and this was the video that first popped off. It was 7 years ago. I was talking about podcasting, and I was ranking #1 for the word podcasting for like almost a year.
Wow.
Above Gary Vee, above all these guys. So that's really what like legitimized my agency, where people started listening to me. And lesson to everyone here is that when this video was popping off, I was like, see, I do know what I'm talking about. Here's my Rolodex of clients, whatever. I reached out to all of the companies within podcasting. Of all of them, like 2 or 3 replied. One was really nice to me, and then I made them millions of dollars because they were nice to me, right? And so you don't know who someone will become. So if someone shows initiative and they reach out to you and they're kind to you and you believe that they've got a spark, like treat them well. That jersey that they bought me when I decided to partner with them and they became a client cost them $150 and made them like hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, right? For what I did for them. So big lesson there. But I watch his stuff a lot. Predictive History. Professor Jiang is his name. Big flex that he's only got the
I love
P.
it.
So this is like, I'm not logged into my channel, so I don't want to show you all my email. But on my channel, all of these would have red bars underneath. So I look for videos that have thumbnails like this in different fields, like math, the underlying logic of like blockchain. That's really how I found Charles's stuff. If you go back and look at Charles's older thumbnails, he's like whiteboards. Like that's actually usually a pretty good indicator of value. See, like, look, this is what I used to be clicking. You know what I mean? And so if it has some views and the packaging is horrendous, like the title and the thumbnail makes no sense to have any views, usually a pretty good indication of value. So there's one fan in the chat here who's saying that Sami, his channel is suppressed. That's not true. He's just making every mistake possible with his packaging. So like, look at this, right? He's literally dropping some of the best value in crypto, and it's not close. But who can watch this content? The case for a crypto resurrection prophecy. The only people that could even possibly want this have to be incredibly deep within crypto. And then even if they are there, they're usually assigned to some sort of cult. He needs to make these far more macro, right? So like there's probably every time, and there's like, because he talks about so many things, there's actually packaging gold in every one of his videos. I could make it like probably get 4 to 10x the views because he could focus it more on the characters that more people know. And if they came in and listened to him, he's evidently one of the smartest people in crypto. He's also really, really funny, but he makes a lot of like very inside jokes, which you'll love once you're part of it. But if you use it in the packaging, only the people that know the joke can click the video. Right? So I think he'll still blow up when the market moves, which I still think that it will, but he deserves like 4 to 5x the following with what he drops. He drops some stuff, and then big channels will also copy what he says all the time. Like it'll start here. So like they watch his videos and then they'll regurgitate what he was saying like a week or 2 ago on their shit and sound smart because they got a bigger audience. That's the power of packaging, guys. Like if you, I know no one cares about YouTube, but if you ever want to become a YouTuber, like it's all this. The whole thing is the title and thumbnail. You could have the best video in the world, but it's like a Lamborghini with no gas in it. If you don't get the title and thumbnail right, no one will see it. YouTube is not a video platform. It is a click and watch platform. And so that's the problem, right? Is that everyone here, go show him some love, go subscribe to him, go give him some stuff, and tell him that Memes and Markets sent you, because we actually want to get him on the show. I think it'd be a fire episode. So go over, say go on Memes and Markets. I've DM'd him, but he hasn't replied. Sami, what the heck? But that's the whole thing. Like his content is objectively better than I don't even bother watching the mainstream crypto shit anymore because it's for retail, right? It's always price this, price that. And even when I don't want to call anyone out and roast them, but when these big shows have on like this gold mine opportunity where say they'll have someone on like Charles Hoskinson, and then they'll Charles Hoskinson will like throw a softball in the air for like the best possible route for the conversation. And then they go back to like the most basic bullshit ever. They'd be like, but what's the price going to be? You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God, dude, like you just missed out on a gold mine opportunity for actual depth, connection, and like enlightenment, but nope. So yeah, rant over.
Somebody said in the comments, well, first off, appreciate the knowledge, perspectives, critical thoughts, spokesman allowed with no seeming slant, refreshing ing. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Christy, for the super chat. That is super, super nice of you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we got to keep an eye on those because the platform that we're using doesn't show us the super chats. So we're going to do a better job of keeping an eye on those. We're still in the process of hiring a manager. We have someone who should be starting soon, but right now it's been me handling the tech and we all see how that goes.
And then Alejandro Gomez said, this chat def passes the vibe check.
I agree.
Hundo P.
It's nice to be in a cool chat before the weirdos arrive. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. But don't worry, we're gonna do everything we can to safeguard the community. We're already getting mods sorted to help keep things in check. And then we're also gonna give you guys opportunities to connect with each other and then more in depth with us as well. 100%. Simon Dixon, that's your guy, right? You like Simon Dixon, right?
I've just had him come up over and over again. I actually don't know much about him. Got it. But I know you guys have been talking about him in the chat and even commenting on my videos.
Yeah, he's good. I watched him recently on whose show was it? I can't remember. I sent you this. Remember I sent you the podcast and I was like, this guy has this many views, blah 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 blah.
I think I do remember that. Yes.
That was him on there. We also want to get him on too. So like I said before, guys, if there's people that you want to see on Memes and Markets, they have to know we exist to see, like to respond when we DM them, right? Or email them. So if you want to see him on there, say go on Memes and Markets, spam the crap out of him.
Keith Def gives anime vibes, LOL. I think
that's a compliment, dude.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
Anime is so dope, dude. I think back to my childhood and I look at all the things that my parents were like, don't do that. And their misunderstanding of what I was actually doing or why I liked it made the advice horrible. Like the values that you learn in most old animes, pretty fantastic for the most part. Like there's some pretty sexist stuff in the old Pokemon, but like, again, it was the 90s. Like there's not perfect here, but there was a lot of really good lessons there. And even with video games back in the day, I used to rip video games, but I ripped video games like a nerd. Like why I liked video games. And if my parents hadn't asked me this for 2 seconds, I would have explained this to them. But I loved Pokemon because it was such a deep, intricate game where you could be so much better than everyone else if you understood everything. Right. So I would learn the types, the move sets, their different ratings for everything associated. So I had an advantage strategically.
Love it, man. I'm just trying to you guys are crazy. I actually I'm not an anime guy, unfortunately. I've never
You watched no anime growing up?
I mean, like Dragon Ball Z would be on, but
bro,
like, I didn't.
Were you just reading books as a 6-year-old? Like, what were you doing, bro?
I wish, dude. I'd
this guy's
actually
like
be like legit by now.
He sees the Dragon Ball Z episode. He's like, that's a pretty interesting thought. Spirit Ball. He's like, wow.
Nah, man. I played video games for a while, and then I was like, all right, I'm good.
No, I'm totally roasting, but I'm curious what you did like when you were a kid, because I was rocking straight athletics, video games.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was a little bit more into athletics when I was younger too, so I think that's probably what it was.
100%. You may have misunderstood what I was saying. I was saying that it was bad that Pokemon was sexist in the 90s, but I'm saying it was present because it was the 90s. That's what I was saying.
Right.
Y'all looking forward to that Jags-Bills game? You bet it. That's why I'm doubling up, and you don't double up unless it's game week, man.
Let's go.
100%.
You know, the most important game is actually tonight. I don't know if anyone's paying attention to that, but we got the Canes playing, my goodness, Ole Miss. I think we're playing Ole Miss, which is a crazy thing to say out loud.
Yeah, no, that'll be super interesting. I got some. I add a few things to the sheet that I want to bring up that aren't related to the subject of the conversation. But for TikTok, we talked about this briefly before we got on there, but like we've already received 2 community guidelines on TikTok for talking about statistical facts. And we got flagged for spreading misinformation. When I can go on there and see pure debauchery, racism, all of the things, and they're up there chilling, and we're just trying to spread information on financial literacy, and we've been hit with 2. So we're probably going to get booted from that platform.
Guys, we're going to get the hammer on TikTok. So just know that that's what's going on. We got some Canes in the building. Let's go Canes. Let's see. Carl, you can't say that. Carl, take that back. You can't say go Knowles.
TikTok guidelines are BS. Yeah, the TikTok guidelines are crazy. But I had no one should watch TikTok, guys. Like TikTok as a platform incentivizes having problems and spreading problems. Because when it's not like no one chooses to watch a car crash, like they don't go to Google and be like, show me car crashes.
Wow.
But when they see a car crash, they can't help but look. It's like when you go past one on the highway and it's all so slow, it's because rubberneckers, right? They're just staring at the thing, so they have to drive slowly. So that's why I'm a big advocate for YouTube, is because it is a choice-based platform. And so if you are going to be that weirdo who wants to watch car crashes 24/7, like you have to say, I'm this person every single time. Whereas if you go on TikTok, it's almost always people's problems. It's like always an issue. And it's not normal to see everyone's problems all the time. It also creates problems that aren't actually there, right? Because if someone who's struggling with attention in their own life, if they know that they can say something that will get people riled up, they now become way more animated about something they probably wouldn't have actually cared about in a vacuum, but they know they will get a reaction. And so I saw this was one video yesterday that triggered this whole thought. And in the conversation with my mom after was this lady who was roasting a guy who does everything he can to try to help young men. And because he's popular and famous, she zooms in on like the one thing that if you mangle and mix everything he possibly said, you could potentially make it sexist. And she did that. It's like, you know what you're doing here, man. You're building an audience off of bullshit, negativity. So I would say do everything you can to stay away from that platform. It's got even worse. And it's just people's problems 24/7. You don't need that.
That actually hit for me because I was like, saw something on TikTok yesterday. I don't remember like what my mind. The thing about TikTok that hurts for me is like, I don't know. Like I literally only downloaded it to start posting in the past 6 months. And at the beginning, I was like, I'm literally immediately, because they open it up to the homepage. And I hate that. They open it up to the discover page. Like, bro, every time I go straight to my profile.
You have to, dude. It's so good.
Get me. But it gets me. It still gets me.
It gets everyone.
And yesterday I had this thing where this guy's like in the Amazon truck and it's like, oh, I'm done. I'm fired.
Fuck, I did some dumbass shit like this.
A literal car crash.
Might be my last motherfucking day.
But this guy has 11, like that has 1.4 million likes and 11 million views. And I'm like, okay, so what do you do with that though? Like what does that do for you? And then what did I see? I saw another one of the same guy. And I'm like, is this guy creating these scenarios? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this how he's gonna get paid? Like,
especially with AI now, you can manufacture these things all the time. And we got a comment here from T-Shane saying, are y'all actually gonna talk about markets at some point? The whole first part of the conversation was strictly market focused. So scroll back if you missed it. But I got one thing I want to show here too. Do you have anything else to add, Keith?
That it's memes and markets, brother.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about culture. And if you missed the first half where we go deep on the topic, like you said, scroll back.
Go check it out.
We love you still.
So are you familiar with Terence McKenna?
I've heard his name a lot. I don't actually know who he is properly. He's like the botanist. Is that correct?
He's really big into, I'm going to butcher the specifics of the words that he would have used to describe himself. He's since passed, but he was an explorer of psychedelics, consciousness, things of that nature. And his clip from it's actually, I've since found this wasn't actually his last interview. I think it was his last filmed interview before he had passed away. And this one line from what he said is going like mega viral because it's hitting, right? And so let me see. Hopefully you guys can hear this.
It's just going to.
Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So let me go back to the exact point. 44, like 17. Right, here we go.
It's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder. And finally, it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.
The
And at
video's
that
not playing.
point, novelty.
It's not playing?
It's not showing the visuals, but I can hear them, just so you know.
Super weird. Let me try to reshare it then.
Yeah, I would just try to, or refresh the page or something too.
Yeah. Let's try again. Sorry, guys. Because this is definitely worth watching. 54, like 18 was when it started.
It's still just showing me whatever was there before, man.
Yeah, what's not giving you a live feed is. Do you want me to send you the link then? It seems like
Yes,
everything
it's
that
in
I.
the thing, isn't it?
It is. Yes.
Okay.
5418 is the moment.
5418. Cool. Get that going.
Yep, you can watch the replay. All of the replays are automatically live on YouTube, and then we work to get them up on the podcast platforms as soon as we can. They're usually up a few hours after.
All right, here we go.
Of contradiction. I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder. And finally, it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. And at that point, novelty theory can come out of the woods. Because eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? It's just too nuts. It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. So between now and 2012, the next 14 years, I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, and at the same time, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, race baiting, homophobia, famine, starvation, because the systems which are in play to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed. The collapse of the socialist world, the rise of the internet, these are changes so immense, nobody could imagine them ever happening. And now that they have happened, nobody even bothers to mention what a big deal it is. The fact that there is no such thing as the Soviet Union, people never talk about it anymore. But when I was a kid, the notion that that would ever change was beyond conceiving. So the good news is that as primates, we're incredibly adaptable to change. Put us in a desert, we survive. Put us in the jungle, we survive. Under Hitler, we survive. Under Nixon, we survive. We can put up with about anything. And it's a good thing because we're going to be tested to the limits.
You can call it there. Thank you for showing that. Yeah, so he's a super interesting dude. I've been on a binge of his lectures. I also try to look for really, really old videos. And I don't know if there's someone like working at YouTube that like turned up the dial on being able to find old videos.
Oh, for like making it harder or easier?
Very recently, easier.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, I'm getting served stuff that I used to have to search like through the weeds for, like find from in other places, go try to find where it is on YouTube, see that it had like very few views, but it's blowing up on TikTok, right? Or other platforms. But as of late, I would say the last 2 or 3 months, I'm getting shown stuff I used to have to scratch and claw for.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah,
that's cool.
So it's definitely interesting. And I also just picked up McKenna's books, so I'm gonna be reading one tomorrow. So I'll let you know how that goes. But it's fascinating because edits of him are going incredibly viral because he predicted a lot of stuff that came true. He was wrong about the time, but even in his prediction, he had said he's like, yeah, I'm not fixed to the time horizon. I'm just saying it's gonna be here soon. And in a relative context, these are fractions of moments in the grand scheme of the universe, right? 10 years.
That's true.
Right.
Love it.
Yeah. And other stuff that I watch all sorts of stuff, dude. I've definitely went down the UFO stuff in a very major way. That's also why I would love to have Sami on there because he's someone who's big into the UFO stuff.
Here's an idea for people.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think, Ben. What if I could subscribe? This is nuts because it's a huge invasion, but what if I could subscribe to what you watch? Like I could pay you like $5 a month to just like see everything you're watching. Would you sell that?
Yeah, I would totally sell that and it would be worth that. I built this thing brick by brick with like tens of thousands of hours because I'm not exaggerating. Ask my girlfriend, she freaking hates it. I'm watching videos at 2x speed 24/7. Like every waking moment where I'm not voice messaging you, filming something, or working, I am consuming a lecture.
That's wild.
Yeah. So
I love it, man.
it's just because I see that there's so much here, right? And you'll become obsessed with YouTube when YouTube gives you something that so few people have, right? And to do that, you gotta be watching the videos that they're not watching. And also, because I was creating YouTube content, I could understand the incentive mechanisms that made layman or like entry-level content go so viral. So then I was able to counteract our natural biases for social proof, right? So I stopped even letting that enter my realm of like consciousness for if I cared if I clicked something or not. The majority of people who watch something on YouTube, whether they're aware of it or not, if they don't see a high view number, they won't click the video. That's a massive problem for you as the individual.
Yep. I'm just really cooking in my mind on that idea. Like, I'm sure it'd be really hard to implement because YouTube would have to like.
Well, not really. Instagram, you can do that. You can get a shared feed.
Really?
Yeah, you can like. I think what it does is it may have been a beta feature. Maybe it's not still in existence, but at one point in time, you could have like a cross-synced feed where it would take your interests, their interests, show you a feed.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating.
Should we also talk about how much Charles looks like Steve Jobs, bro?
Pull that up.
It's crazy, dude.
That's crazy.
Which honestly, like, started to make me think like maybe they're both plants, dude. Because like, if you think about what the advent of the Apple computer, like that whole story doesn't really make much sense either. Like the how Buddy Wozniak, who was the tech guy behind it all, he was building it while working for a competing company, and they just let him walk out the door with it. And when I asked ChatGPT, they're like, "Oh, well, they didn't see the market for this." I'm like, "Yeah, big companies are in the market of like letting something potentially even going when they have unlimited money." Like I find that hard to believe. So I don't know. It made me really question things a lot more. I'm trying to find how I can show it. I'm logged into so many accounts here, man. Here we go. But I've talked about Charles on here a lot. I also want to pick his brain philosophically on all this stuff. I'd also love to hear his opinion on Steve Jobs. But let me try to like what I can do is I can drag this over here.
There's your post on Twitter.
Yeah, you want to show that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, guys.
Steve on the left, Charles Hoskinson on the right, y'all.
Pretty damn similar. I know it's a white dude with a beard, but I mean like the glasses and everything too. Like, and then also their temperament, like their philosophy. I have to think that at the very least, a massive inspiration for Charles would have been Steve, because even how they're seen in terms of a lot of people dislike them for whatever reason, right? Like they're very, very polarizing people. So yeah, it's I want Charles on the show really bad, guys. So go comment on his YouTube. I think that's really all that he looks at. He actually retired from X very recently.
Oh, wow.
So Charles uses Steve Jobs a lot in his interviews. I've heard him bring his name up at least 3 times. Makes sense. Not surprised to hear that.
Very cool. Very cool. Anything else? I guess, is it chat time?
Yeah. Y'all have any questions? Let's open it up to the chat before we wrap up. What do y'all have for us?
By the way, hit that like button. Hit that like button. We got 250 people with us, y'all. This is really, really, really cool.
Yeah, so fun.
So cool to have y'all here. You have no idea.
Yeah, it's such an honor and a privilege to have you guys here. And I was saying to Keith last night, I'm like, what can we do as people to try to make things better a little bit every day? And I was like, well, one thing is, you, like Keith already said, you can reward good behavior. And so I want to make it incredibly clear to all of you guys that when you come in and you are a positive influence, like it has impact, even if you feel like it doesn't. It really, really does. Because a lot of times when people come and they're negative, it has nothing to do with the content itself. They're looking and they're fishing for attention, right? And so if you start giving attention for good things, they won't feel like they have to go to something that's guaranteed, which is bad, right? Because my mom gave the example. She was so fired up that people had commented on this lady talking about her dog dying. And then someone was like, the dog was ugly anyways, right? And I was like, Mom, that was definitely probably someone who's very young, right? Like they've grown up on this. They've felt alone their entire life. And this has become this kind of game for attention to do any means necessary to get some sort of reaction, right? So they don't even see this as real, because until you create content, you don't realize there's a real person reading that comment about themselves.
Right.
right? So and now every time, because I got on this fairly early, and so I was getting roasted both publicly and online early, right? And so I became desensitized to it. I've always had pretty thick skin, but when people now more and more, they start creating content, they've since reached out to me and be like, how do you deal with this stuff? Right? And I just have empathy for the person on the other side of the screen. I know they don't know what they're doing. And if they do, they must hate their life.
That's like a whole YouTube channel idea. Like just talking about what it's like to deal with all these comments and stuff and how to manage that.
It's crazy. But I want to say, all you guys, like, we love all of your nice comments. I'm going to do everything I can to get back to you on anything that you say that's positive. I'll try to get back to you whenever I can, but we're starting to get more and more. So it is becoming difficult, but I'm still going to make it a priority. So Keith reads books and Ben watches YouTube. I watch YouTube more than I read books, but I still read books every night. So but you can't really beat the accessibility, right? When I'm on the move and I'm going somewhere, I can't be reading a book. I can be listening to a video.
Yeah, guys, Ben definitely reads more books than me. And then Alejandro Gomez said, we came for the markets and stayed for the memes.
Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's it, guys. We appreciate you tremendously. Hit us with any questions that y'all have too. Can you get back to my negative comments too? if there's merit to it to a degree, but the problem is it's not even worth engaging with these people most of the time, because they're never going to change their opinion, even if I gave them the exact right answer that was statistically fact. Like, they still won't. I've lived it. I've tried it. It was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Tons of comments are just bots too. 110%. That's also why I didn't try to delete the bot comments on our latest video promoting this, like, what was that project? I don't even know how to pronounce that. Like KVADDEN.
Oh yeah.
And they're all bots. So I left them up there because if I delete them, they're just going to put them right back up. So all I did was basically leave a comment saying, study these. If anything ever sounds like this, just assume that it's bots.
Yeah. And we can put negative keywords and stuff, right?
They get around it.
Yeah, but there's always another one that comes through, and it's just like, oh my goodness, this is the worst.
The proof of human thing is probably going to be one of the only things that solves this problem, because this has been in existence since YouTube's been a thing.
They're going to scan your eyeballs. They're going to scan them.
They probably will, dude. Which is crazy. But the comment issue has been a very big problem for a very long time. Who do you think the Jags are going to play at the Super Bowl? Ryoku, you're my person, man or woman or whatever. Yeah, we got a shot here, man. And also the mainstream media, they love to hate on the Jags, man. Somehow we have a better record, better team than the Bills, and we're home. And we're the underdogs. Give it to me, bro. Give it to me.
Yeah, good luck, you guys. Someone asked to leave the link to Terence McKenna, but it's kind of hard because
if you just look up Terence McKenna's final interview, it'll come up. It's got 1.5 million views. It was posted February 5th, 2018, and it is 1 hour and 3 minutes and 47 seconds. You guys should discuss religion one day. I wouldn't have very much to add on religion. I'm not well versed in it enough about the specific religions, because I'm more concerned with the stories that are associated with the religions and how those stories have been told different ways in other places. That's more what my interest is. We are just a small market team. Never forget it.
And then someone said,
yeah, we have the best run defense in the league. One of them, like top 5 for sure. What do we have? Best run D in the NFL.
Someone asked for my favorite books. We did a whole episode on that. If you haven't seen it already, our top books. Check it out.
Check it out. Okay, I'm trying to find it here. I may have capped, but our Russian defense is pretty damn good. We're up there, whatever. But what else do we have in the chat? Any good cues?
Someone asked for the most or any interesting stories or experiences from Bangkok.
Yeah, hit him with it.
I mean, there was a lot. I've talked about some of it for sure. I think, yeah, the most impactful thing for me was definitely seeing like the working girl culture and seeing that be kind of normalized.
By working girl, do you mean like sex worker?
Yes. Like I've been to Amsterdam. There's like a street with that kind of stuff, but it's also very different. But in Thailand, it's probably in every city, like every big city. I think it's a thing. Um, and yeah, I don't know. That definitely was just crazy to see. That's all I can really say. It was the most interesting. The thing that I noticed or took away from it was what kind of a crowd that attracted, right? Because I wasn't like in that all the time. I was around it to get content and whatever and to see it with my eyes. But those weren't the types of people that I necessarily like. It wasn't a scene that I wanted to spend a lot of time in. You know what I mean? I wouldn't go there for fun really all the time. It was like more, let me see this. So
You're
anyway.
curious about the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like the fact that that's a thing in the world, you know, that's just out there for everybody. So
Totally. I've got a few comments in here. So someone said, why doesn't YouTube do anything about the bots?
yeah.
I don't think that there's a financial incentive too much there. I think it's also a pretty difficult problem to solve. So I think it's probably a combination of those two. And then someone also asked me personally was, do you post on TikTok? I used to post on TikTok, but I never have liked TikTok. Even when it was brand new as a social media strategist by trade, like that was literally my job. I loved the fact that it had organic reach, but I could quickly see the design of it that was seen as a pro was a massive con for humanity and creators at large. So I'm very much not pro TikTok. Also, I didn't post consistently, and I also went mega viral on TikTok a few times. And so I have over 100,000 followers there, but I never really post. I actually just recently made my account private because I'm probably just going to delete it. But I saw that it's a pretty messed up platform also because of what they restrict. Like I had a video get 8 or 9 million views about Andrew Tate, and it got taken down. And they said that they sent me warnings, and they had never sent me a warning. So they like fully lied and said that they took it down and had like sent me these warnings that I went through, and I had never got a notification, never got anything. And so I couldn't appeal because I didn't know that I had to appeal. So not a big fan of TikTok.
Darned TikToker. Cool, man. Anything else that's catching your eye there?
I just took a bunch. Do you get Jeff Booth on the stream? We're trying, man, but he's not an easy person to get a hold of because he doesn't use any of these centralized social media platforms. So he's a difficult person to get a hold of. So if you have a route in, tell him to contact us.
Yep.
He just went on Zuby's show. Have you ever heard of Zuby?
I had heard of him.
Yeah. He's an amazing speaker. Like he's so articulate, and I think he's Canadian too.
I think you're right about that.
Oh, he's British. I'm wrong.
Really?
Yeah, he's born in England, but he doesn't have an English accent. But I love that guy. He seems like a cool dude, straight shooter. I like how he presents at the very least. I don't know all of his opinions, so don't try to pull that crap on me. But bro, I hate that, man. You can't say like something objective, like, oh, I like how he does one thing. They're like, what? Did you know that he said this on April 6th, 2014? It's like, oh God.
Do what I can. Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to get a hold of him.
Are you both full-time YouTubers? I'll let Keith answer first, and then I can go in.
Yeah, I would consider myself a full-time YouTuber. Yeah.
Cool. I would consider myself a full-time entrepreneur that uses YouTube as one of the primary vehicles for entrepreneurship. So I've been growing media companies through like social media accounts for 8, 9 years. And then I've been helping clients grow their own software companies, podcasts, or businesses with social media for around the same length of time. So I've been posting I've posted either me or for clients, like tens of thousands of videos across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all this stuff.
Yeah, Ben is multiple apps, you know. He's
for software product. I forgot about that. Yeah. I also have software companies. Those are a big focus the last 2 years. Because I was advertising with. You guys got to train yourself how to think, right? Like, because people are always like, oh, how do you know how to go and like serve this specific customer? It's like, because I thought about the problem. Right? I think a lot of people are so obsessed with their problem, they don't spend the time obsessing over the solution to it. And that's something that I've always tried to do. And so when I did that analysis of like first principles thinking, I was like, okay, if I'm going to have these services, who can pay me? And then who's also cool with paying a kid to do this? Right? That was the biggest problem. I could have made anybody money, but they had to be willing to listen to me. And so I was like, software is the only thing that's new enough where they'll listen to this because they can understand. And so then they let me in, and then I learned I could make them a lot of money. And then I was like, I want to start my own software companies, and here we are. How do you guys know each other? That's fun. I found Keith's videos. It wasn't even your most viral one, dude. It wasn't the Bond one.
Oh, it was before that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And
For
so
sure.
I reached out to Keith. I was like, this dude's a legend. I wanted to get him on my podcast. I have the Ben Levitt Show, which I haven't posted an episode in a long time. But I had him on there. We talked for like an hour or two. We stayed in touch after that. He continued to crush it on YouTube. And he's got a bunch of channels now. He's crushing it. And then I was like, hey, man, I think we could do a show together. I think it would work. And then this was the premise that we discussed. And here we are.
Yeah. I love that our first actual conversation is basically out there, you know? So it'll always just be there in history. That's
so
how
cool.
it all started.
But you can change your life like that too, guys. Was if you see someone, people make things weird, right? Like most people wouldn't do that, right? Like I just saw Keith. I was like, this guy sounds super cool, super smart. I wanna be friends with him. See if I can help him out. See if he can help me out. Just cold emailed him. Here we are, right? You can just do stuff, and it's not weird unless you make it weird. And if anybody finds it weird, where you're trying to genuinely connect with them, they're probably the weirdo. I say this to my friends all the time too. They're like, I want to make more friends. I'm like, okay, have you sent anybody Instagram DMs, or have you commented on their stuff? The tools are endless.
Yep. People are just people, you know. You just gotta
100%.
reach them, and also on the other end of that, be open.
Yes.
Right. Be open.
100%. Well, if y'all have nothing else in the chat, we can wrap it up here. So this is your last warning. Do you have any call to actions for the wonderful people in the chat, Keith?
I mean, obviously hit the like button and subscribe. We also have our newsletter that we're putting out
Very good
weekly
point.
now. So is that in the description? Yeah.
Yes, it
Substack.
should be. Yeah, Substack. It's just, and we have the domain, which is pretty chilling. We got memesandmarkets.com. That is our Substack. Keith just released a piece. So I know a lot of you are in here for Keith's assessment on markets. So go see our latest post. It is a piece from Keith, and it is awesome. So go give it a read. Subscribe to us for free. We don't even have a paid plan set up yet. We're still going to sort all this stuff out, and we'll try to make it something that is worth the money and all that stuff. But right now, just go do it for free.
Yeah. Sign up for free. One of the links in the description, Substack, or just go to memesandmarkets.com. Sign up for the newsletter. We're going to be dropping some value there. My article that I posted this week was called How Stocks Go Up, but How Eggs Come Down in 2026. Referring to the price of goods coming down, inflation coming down, but stocks going up. Is that something we can see happen? See what I had to say.
That's it. And it is in the Substack. Sorry, it is in the description box. You may have to refresh the page just because of the technical issues we had this morning. And the one point before we go, I want to touch this one. So I'm a DM Mr. Beast, and we're gonna make a video together. Like people always go there, man. It's like, why does it have to be there? It may start with someone who you think is cool, who may want to be your friend, or like you could work for them for free, or whatever it is. People always go there, man. But
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the thing too, Ben, that you did, or that made what we did in that interview work so well, and you talk to me about this all the time, is like I was kind of like hitting a little bit of a wave.
Yes.
Right on YouTube, and no one had heard from me in that format before.
Yes.
It was all these like 10-minute videos of me like saying something very rigid, and you created this opportunity for me to like, who is Keith D?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you answered that question that a lot of people had. It got 10,000 views.
Yeah, on a new channel too.
On a new channel.
Mm-hmm.
So just stuff about what actually happened and ways that you can think about how to provide value to people, and you know, just putting it out there for sure.
That's it, man. And yeah, Carl said, I am not a bot. Beep, boop, pop. That's
Carl,
awesome.
you're an OG.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Carl, big time. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you tremendously. I wanted to give a heads up that we'll be adjusting our schedule for streams next week. So I want to make sure I brought that up. So we will be going Wednesday, Thursday next week, not Tuesday, Thursday. So just heads up, if you don't see a stream on Tuesday, it's not because anything's wrong. It's just because we've pushed it to one day. So we will be live tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday at 12 p.m. EST as our normally scheduled time. I don't think we have any guests currently scheduled, do we?
No, not at the moment. Not at the moment.
Cool. Well, I'm in discussions with a bunch of people for when they will come on. And also, if you guys have people that you specifically want to see, please let us know. And also spam them in their comment section saying that they should come on the show. It makes our job a lot easier to actually get them on. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate y'all. We got to go Knowles in here.
Go Canes, girl.
Sweet. Well, we appreciate all you guys tremendously. Hope you have a wonderful week and weekend. And we will see all of y'all on Wednesday.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace. Bye-bye. All right. There. Now I pull us off. Like